A very good evening. From stories around the world to stories here at home, this is the National News Broadcast. I'm Vidushni Sadish Kumar.
I'm Moin Hetiarachi and here are today's headlines. It has been revealed that the negligence of the police department had enabled Zahran to act freely. Local entrepreneurs are being accorded more opportunities to produce higher quantity of clothing needed for school and security uniforms. Examination of petitions against the 20th constitutional amendment will commence tomorrow. Jatika Janabalawegaya leader Anurukumara Dissanayake says that the evidence given by Ranil Wickremesinghe pertaining to the formation of the anti-crime committee was totally false. A recurrence of clashes between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Now on to more stories in detail. Former IGP Pudhi Jayasundara has acknowledged before the Presidential Commission investigating on the Easter attack that certain acts of negligence of the police department had contributed Zahran Hashim to act freely in the country. He further said that there had been an opportunity to arrest Ahami Mohiddin, a member of the Zahran's team, prior to the attack. He added if that arrest had been carried out, it would have been possible to prevent the occurrence of the Easter Sunday terror attack. Pudhi Jayasundara was functioning as the IGP during the time of the Easter Sunday attack. He arrived at the Presidential Commission for the fourth day today to give evidence. The State Additional Solicitor General inquired why the police had not taken measures to arrest the suspects, including Zahran Hashim, on charges of the clash that took place in Aralia Junction in Kartankudi on the 10th of March 2017, when a warrant had been issued for their arrest. The former IGP had responded saying that relevant suspects fled the area at the time. The Government Additional Solicitor General then inquired the police former chief as to why attempts have not been made to arrest Ahami Mohiddin, even when the State Intelligence Service had shown an officer named Dias where he was hiding. Jayasundara replied that it was a very chaotic situation but admitted that he should have been arrested. He also told the judiciary that if Mohiddin was arrested, valuable information pertaining to the terrorist network of Zahran Hashim would have been discovered. Then the Additional Government Solicitor General questioned Pudhi Jayasundara on the measures followed by him when he was informed of a warning directed by State Intelligence Service and the National Intelligence Chief on the 9th of April. Jayasundara said that he had educated 4 senior DIGs regarding the information provided, adding that he had sent the letters under the initials FNA. Then he was asked why not he had taken more adequate precautions. The FNA denotes for necessary action, but it could also mean for no action as well. The information was specific and was sent from a foreign intelligence division. He also said that vital information sent under the term top secret is only meaning for his attention. However, he has directed the letters to lower senior officials. The former IGP also said he had many disagreements and ill feelings with the then head of state. He added, however, that did not mean that he neglected his duties. He further said State Intelligence Service or any other persons had never given him any specific information on terrorist activities.
Now more on local stories. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has looked into the possibility of entrusting responsibilities of producing higher percentage of clothing for official uniforms of school children and security forces personnel to local industrialists from next year. The President has made an inquiry in this connection while engaging in an inspection tour in factories in Dankotua, Kandana and Wattala this morning. The President has initially inspected the Creative Textile Mill Private Institute located in Dankotua Industrial Zone. The factory, established with an investment of 2,000 million rupees, has remained closed since 2015. Owner of the factory is compelled to pay a bank interest of 8 million rupees annually despite not receiving any income at present. The Creative Textile Institute had provided employment opportunities to 500 persons by importing thread from India, Pakistan and China. It had been estimated to increase its daily production capacity to 100,000 meters of clothing material. Sri Lanka's annual requirement of school uniform clothing is 11 million meters. The President has encouraged management to resume production without delay. He has also requested to look into the possibility of providing opportunities for those engaged in self-employment to supply clothing materials for school uniforms. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has also pointed out that import expenditure could be saved by 68% through increasing local cloth production. The Education Ministry will be able to save more than 80 million rupees annually by purchasing clothing material locally. He has also focused attention on problems presented pertaining to the factories. The Kapuatha Vanguard Industries Private Institute, which had met 40% of school uniform requirement prior to the year 2015, is currently engaged in the manufacturing of bedsheets and towels. The President, upon observing the overall production capacity of the institute, has encouraged the institute management to fulfill the clothing requirement in the local market. The industrialists have pointed out they are able to supply 30% of the school uniform clothing requirement. The industrialists have also stated that they were compelled to close down several institutes commenced with a massive capital expenditure as a result of the implementation of a coupon system for school uniforms. As a result, many employees were deprived of their jobs. Another garment institute that was subjected to the inspection of the President was the Wattala Cliptex Institute, which is a branch of Ankoto Textile Institute. This factory is involved in the manufacturing of clothing for uniforms of the three armed forces personnel. The labor strength of the institute is around 1,500. A preliminary task of the institute is the dyeing of clothes as required by the security divisions. The President has requested owners of this factory to win both the local and foreign markets by taking into advantage of the assistance provided by the government to local industrialists. The President has also inspected the national and Buddhist flags manufactured by the institute. He has notified the owners to increase production capacity according to the requirements. He has also reiterated that large and small-scale local producers must immediately commence production of local items of high standards and quality. Minister Vimal Weerawansa has also accompanied the President in the inspection tour.
A 5-member panel of judges headed by the Chief Justice is scheduled to commence examining petitions filed against the 20th Constitutional Amendment. 21 petitions were submitted before the Supreme Court today. Among those who had presented petitions today included a member of the Election Commission, Professor Ratnajeevan Hool, General Secretary of the UNP, Akhilaviraj Karyavasam, and Deputy Leader of the party, Ruwan Wijewardena. The President of the Youth Wing of Samajika Janambala Vegaya, Mayanth Dissanayake, they have cited Attorney General as the respondent. President of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Minister Professor G.L. Piris, says that he and the Secretary of the Peramuna Attorney at Law, Sagara Karyavasam, hope to present the facts before the judiciary as intermediaries. Minister Professor G.L. Piris said that the Supreme Court verdict on all petitions should be informed to the President and the Speaker within 3 weeks. The period ends on the 12th of next month. Thereafter, the parliamentary procedure is able to be carried forward according to Supreme Court order. He also said that the facts revealed before the Presidential Commission on a daily basis reveals the dangerous situation that had been created within the state structures under the 19th Amendment of the Good Governance. The 19th Amendment had been outcome of a conflict between two forces. Nobody has a clear understanding on whom the responsibilities should be entrusted to safeguard the lives of the people. The minister further said that they hope to present a comprehensive constitutional draft bill to Parliament within 6 months from now.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has instructed relevant officials to take measures immediately to extend financial aid to develop undeveloped viharas and viharas in remote areas in the country. He has given the order at a discussion held to speed up development activities in the Durangaslanda electorate in the Kurunegala district. The meeting has taken place at the Prime Minister's official residence in Vijayarama Mawatha in Colombo. The Prime Minister has recalled at the meeting that in the recent past funds amounting to millions of rupees have been provided in the recent past targeting upgrading several developed viharasthanas in the island. It is the responsibility of the officials not to leave room for the recurrence of such a situation in the future. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has instructed Secretary to the Ministry of Buddha Sasana, Professor Kapila Gunawardena, to focus special attention on the naming of Nelligala Rajamaha Viharaya as a sacred area and for the development of the Viharaya. He has also focused special attention on several problems in the Dodangaslanda electorate. The Prime Minister has instructed Minister of Health Pavitra Wanyarachi to especially look into the shortcomings at the Dodangaslanda Ayurvedic Hospital. The Prime Minister has also instructed Governor of the Northwestern Province, Raja Kollure, to take necessary measures to resolve several problems in the electorate, including the construction of common toilets, which remain a serious shortcoming in the Dodangaslanda town. Mahasangha, headed by President of the Sri Lanka Jatika Bhikkhu Peramuna in the Dodangaslanda electorate, Venerable Kirindevatta Sumanasara Thera, MPs and ministers have also attended the event.
13 officials of the Police Anti-Narcotics Bureau detained under the charges of engaging in narcotics racketeering have been further remanded till the 12th of next month, according to an order delivered by Colombo Chief Magistrate Mohammed Mihail today. The suspects were not produced before the courts when the complaint was taken up for hearing. Deputy Solicitor General Dilip Apiris, appearing on behalf of the CID officials, told the courts that another suspect named Manju has been arrested and detained on the charges of transporting 130 kilograms of heroin from Mathura to Balapitia. Upon investigation conducted on the suspect, 2 pistols and 2 T-56 firearms were found in his possession. One of the weapons belonged to the army. Dilip Apiris also said that the suspect had secured property valued at 190 million rupees from drug dealings. The magistrate has ordered the attorney of the accused to present any written evidence before the 7th of next month. The Aturgiriya police has been successful in apprehending 6 suspects with 500 grams of heroin near the 10th mile post in Malabar. The suspects were the owner of a business engaged in metal scraps. "39 live bullets of the T-56 type were found buried near a beach in Devingoda, Ratgama yesterday. Locally produced 12 bore bullets were found hidden in a house in Kosgoda in Beliatta. One of the suspects, a resident of Kosgoda, was arrested in this connection.
Leader of the Jatika Janabala Vegaya, Anurakumara Disanayaka, told the Presidential Commission investigating into political victimization that the statement pertaining to the formation of the Anti-Crime Committee was done according to the cabinet paper presented by former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe was completely false. This was disclosed when the complaint filed by former Divinagama Director General Kitsiri Ranawaka was taken up for hearing today. Anura Disanayaka added that the evidence given by Ranil Wickremesinghe stating that the Anti-Crime Committee was established according to the approval of the National Executive Council was totally false. Attorney at law, appearing on behalf of Disanayaka, said that the former Prime Minister had stated that the committee was established in either November or December of 2016. Anurakumar Disanayaka said he could state with responsibility that the commission was established after January 8th of 2015. Anurakumar Disanayaka added that his testimony is based upon the notes submitted by former Secretary to the Ministry of Economic Development, Dr. Nihal Jayatilaka, and the evidence given by the former Prime Minister. He added that he was not sure whether the then cabinet had ever discussed on such National Executive Council. In the National Executive Council was subjected to an approval, it should have been forwarded to the President. President of the Commission, former Supreme Court Judge Upali Aberatna has inquired Andhra Kumar Dissanayake whether the cabinet paper mentioned anything about the approval of the National Executive Council. He said that nowhere there was any mentioning regarding a person who had presented information regarding Executive Council. He added that he also does not do anything regarding himself being appointed as coordinator of such a committee and that he had never represented a committee as such.
Colombo Chief Magistrate Mohammed Mihail has ordered Controller of the Immigration to prescribe the passport of the captain of the burnt New Diamond ship after disallowing the request of the Attorney Generals to place the suspect under detention. The magistrate has also ordered the captain of the ship to extend full support to the investigation and to also inform the judiciary if he plans to change places of residence. The Chief Magistrate, declaring the order pertaining to the request of the AG to place the captain of the ship under detention, said that authority vested upon the arrest, detention and prosecution of any individual under clause of 38 and 48 of the Act to Prevent Marine Pollution lies with the High Court. The Chief Magistrate in his verdict has further stated that through the Magistrate Court has some ability to extend support in investigations, it has no authority to place a person under detention in this respect. The complaint is to be further examined on the 10th of next month. According to summons issued by judiciary, Haroz Elias, who has functioned as the captain of the New Diamond ship when it was subjected to a fire, has appeared before the court this morning. Deputy Solicitor General Dilip Appiris, appearing on behalf of the complainant, said that the suspect captain had neglected to follow procedure to control the spread of the fire. The Deputy Solicitor General also pointed out that a committee comprised of 14 specialists, including professors of the Murray University, have established the fact that the fuel stored in the ship had seeped into seawater. As a result of the failure of the crew, including the captain, to follow the necessary measures to prevent such a leakage, the oil layer of a thickness of 2 millimeters has spread in an area of 2 nautical miles from the location where the ship met with the accident. It has also been pointed out that the Attorney General intends to file a case against the captain of the ship in the High Court. The Deputy Solicitor General has also informed the court that necessary to detain him under the state monitoring. In order to produce him before the judiciary at any instance, a case is filed against him.
Meanwhile, an operation to socialize fabricated news related to an alleged destruction of environment in a scale never seen before since the present government assuming power has been identified. The Presidential Media Division in a news release says that the facts contained in this report are totally misleading and distorted. These false news items regarding setting fire to protected forests and felling trees in natural forests are being propagated through social media as well as through certain printed and electronic media. Opposition forces and their supporters give immense publicity to these false news items. The Presidential Media Division says that a private television which telecast a news item on the 15th of this month regarding a massive destruction of forest in the H zone belonging to the Mahawali Authority was completely wrong. Residential business manager of the H zone, Ubaya Kalyana Kumara, has informed with evidence to the Mahawali Director General that there was a threat of a breaking of the lake bund in Talava due to heavy rainfall of 2016. Accordingly, it has been decided to reconstruct the bund of removing 80 trees grown on the bund. The trees were cut with the approval of the Geology and the Mining Bureau by the State Timber Corporation. The media division said government has decided to take legal action against those who spread false information. Well, on other stories, Chief Epidemiologist Dr. Sudat Samaravida says that the public should not create an unnecessary fear over the consumption of imported commodities, contributing to low risks associated in a potential contamination of the COVID-19. He made these remarks during a media briefing held in Colombo today.
Someone can think that if food or any item comes from a country where the COVID-19 is spreading rapidly, will cause that somebody can acquire from those objects or food in our country. But available evidence worldwide that this virus will survive on surface only for 3 days time. So because of that, when these things are coming into our country, it is very unlikely that these viruses are living on the surfaces of these objects or goods or food. So because of that, nobody should fear that it will be a mode of transmission of COVID-19 from abroad to our country. So anybody can utilize those things. Even the food can be utilized as normal, because it will take more than 3 days, as well as this is a disease that causes the infection in the respiratory tract. So because of that, somebody is eating something that contaminated with virus, it is very unlikely to get the infection in that route of transmission. So because of that, nobody should fear about at this moment to consume anything or to use any objects that is been imported from some other country.
Meanwhile, the global update of the coronavirus pandemic will be next. The global death toll from the new coronavirus, which emerged less than a year ago in China and has swept across the world, passed 1 million. Confirmed COVID-19 cases have topped 33.3 million, while a total of 24.6 million coronavirus patients across the world have recovered from the disease thus far. The pandemic has ravaged the global economy, inflamed geopolitical tensions, and upended lives from the Indian slums and Brazilian jungles to the America's biggest city, New York. Infections have been reported from more than 210 countries and territories since the first cases were identified in China in December 2019. Some countries have been experiencing a resurgence in infections, leading authorities to partially reinstate lockdowns, which could be a recurring pattern in the coming months and into 2021. More than 75 of the 100 infections last reported around the world were reported from countries in Asia and Middle East. The region is reporting 1 million new infections every 8 days and has reported more than 10,273,000 since the pandemic began. The United States, India and Brazil remain the most affected countries, leading the world in both confirmed cases and deaths. Brazil has the world's second highest COVID-19 death toll after the United States and the third largest outbreak behind the United States and India. United States remains the worst hit country in the world with highest caseload and death toll. The nationwide caseload amounted to 7.3 million, with the death toll reaching 204,000 as of yesterday. India's coronavirus tally topped 6 million after it reported 82,170 new infections in the last 24 hours. India added 1 million cases in only 11 days, and it has the second highest number of infections. The daily death toll was 1,039, bringing the total number of victims to 95,542. The Brazil recorded 14,318 new cases and 335 more deaths in the last 24 hours. So far, it has registered 4.7 million cases in the virus since the outbreak, with the death toll reaching 141,000. Meanwhile, the largest city in Brazil's Amazon has closed bars and river beaches to contain the fresh surges of the coronavirus cases. Japan saw another 485 coronavirus cases as of yesterday, bringing the national tally to 82,299. 3 people died from the disease on the day, raising the death toll to 1,550.
Well, corona news from New Zealand now. Travel between New Zealand and some states of Australia could be possible before the end of the year if COVID-19 cases continue to decline, New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said today. And plans for a travel bubble between the two countries have been in discussion for months as both nations slowed the spread of coronavirus.
Hope for a travel bubble between New Zealand and some states of Australia before the end of the year was raised by New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern on Monday.
It is possible. Again, what we need to be assured of is that when Australia is saying, okay, we've got a hot spot over here, that the border around that hotspot means that people aren't able to travel into the states where we are engaging with in trans-Tasman travel.
The idea has been in discussion for months, as both nations have slowed the spread of the coronavirus. But talks were disrupted after a resurgence of COVID-19 in Melbourne, Australia's second biggest city, as well as another wave of infections in New Zealand's Auckland. Ardern also said the strategy has shifted from Australia pushing for a national approach to instead suggesting opening up travel state by state, focusing on a hotspot regime where certain parts of the country would still be barred from travelling. Meanwhile, Australia's Victoria state reported single digits of new coronavirus cases for the first time in 3 months on Monday. It has stoked hopes for near-normal conditions by Christmas.
On more local stories, Minister Kehalia Rupavahini says that a recent discussion between Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa and the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been extremely successful. He made these remarks at a media briefing in Colombo today.
I must also express that there were certain media reports tying up the $15 million that was agreed upon by the two prime ministers as a grant to Sri Lanka. It was attached to the 13th Amendment and the issues of the 13th Amendment, which is completely false. That's not. The $15 million was a grant for fostering the Buddhist philosophy and the cultural activities of Sri Lanka. Nothing to do with the 13th Amendment. I think that clarity must be made very clear. The other issues, I think the economic issues, there were certain economic issues that was discussed.
With regard to the economic affairs was that we brought to the notice of the Indian Prime Minister that there is a difference in the trade balance and that should be at some stage addressed. He did mention about the swap arrangement that the Indian authorities had granted to the Sri Lankan authorities, and that was also acknowledged. But going forward, we are looking at ways and means in which the trade imbalance could also be addressed. They discussed about having joint cooperation between the two countries in economic sense was to be maintained.
One of the most popular and comic actors of the Sinhala cinema, Tennyson Kure, has passed away at the age of 68 years today. Tennyson Kure was born in Moratuwa on the 31st of April 1952. He was a past pupil of Methodist High School, Moratuwa. Tennyson Kure has excelled the fields of cinema, drama and teledramas fields as an actor and director. He had entered the field of films through the movie Peralikario. He had also written the scripts of the films Peralikario, Vimodira Palama and Colombo. Tennyson Kure had extended his acting skills to more than 60 films, including Nombara Eka, Hita Honda Putek, Cheerio Doctor, Ray Daniel, Dawal Miguel, Parliament Jokes, Somi Boy and Vadabari Tarsan. His first cinematic direction was Thank You, Bertie. Tennyson Kure, who has been ailing for some time, was admitted to the National Hospital for treatment recently. His remains are scheduled to be brought to residence at number 79/1 Villoravatta, Moratamulla.